Janus of January is named for the two-faced God who looks back and looks forward. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to look at the work we've been doing for the past year and look forward, and to talk about ourselves initially all by ourselves. And that's really over here with the Google News Initiative and how Google has changed the earth. And what I mean by that is, normally you have the mantle, right, and the outer core, or the upper crust and lower crust, and outer core and inner core. But now you have Google has changed the earth, information at the center, and how that's really changed everything. And there's me and my little red submarine inside plumbing information. And what I mean by that is public sector documents, OCR of PDFs, transcripts and videos, emails. It's a whole new world that you've never, ever had before. We only use public sector documents. We don't issue press releases or read press releases. We don't conduct interviews. It's just the raw truth. And it's enabled us to just write one breaking story after another. It's pretty amazing. And that's because Google has changed the earth. And that's all we use. And this whole premise was validated. I was accepted into the Google News Initiative. If you look down here, this GNI. It was amazing. I forgot I even applied. And like after a year, they were like, okay, you're going to have this, you're going to have this Keystone training program with these other team, a small cohort team. There was like 7 of us in the platoon. Major newspapers, like one of them covered the UN. Another covers 3 states in the Pacific Northwest. And then there was me by myself. It was great. I was like Rudy. They took care of me. We all did together. But it was like, what you're doing is important work, and it's real. They trained us on this professional journalism tool called Pinpoint. That's all we were diving in. I make the Mariana Trench look like a kiddie pool. So we did story after story with that. And I'm going to take you through some, and this is all on the public behalf. It's not news in terms of breaking news. It's news uncovering information, and then activism, doing something about it. Like this one on the right, deconstruct this. All right. That was during the HB 8002 housing bill. I was literally the only person from the entire state, the only adult citizen, not a lobbyist or anything else, who was there. The gallery was empty. And this was actually taken when the gallery was empty again, and Tony Wong was fighting for health care and milk for children. And you get into the water rights. This was a dirty, dirty deal that Republicans called Democrats on a couple of years ago. And I explored the whole thing. And it was done on behalf of Eversource and RWA at our expense. We do not want to give away our water rights under any circumstances. In fact, Eversource is on the hook for environmental justice for all that. And it's a really nasty deal that goes back. I met with First Selectman Bill Gerber and the First Selectman of Easton. We talked about it. That water belongs to Easton, first of all, and then they can share it with us. But Eversource went to the other side of the world to buy it, then came back and now has to try to sell it. On the right with the CMDA, they came to Fairfield. I brought bologna sandwiches. That is a bad, bad deal. It's just built to have us underwrite their infrastructure, and a lot of misinformation there. They're on the left with the charter and the Charter Revision Commission. Again and again and again, we've been calling for it. This is offensive. All right. The charter is a sacred document. People risk their lives for it. The Charter Oak story is true. They took it from the King's Man and they hid it in a white oak tree. And what's done now is a defilement of that document. The current charter is manipulated by outside vested interests in a horrible way, and it's really cannot stand. We have to redo that. Same thing with the town plan, which is going to be easier. On the right over there, that was on Memorial Day, and it really moved me a lot. That was my impression when my second time and most impressionable time with Bill Gerber, when the parade was over and I actually posted the Declaration of Independence on the town green post there because I'm a geek, and I went there to read it, and it was just breaking up, and I was like, oh, Bill, you want to read it too? He's like, sure. So he reads a section, and Soccer Mom and David Becker read a section, and that wasn't, and you got to know, David Becker was Bill Gerber's right-hand man. All right. He really was. It wasn't Christine Vitale. I mean, she was great that she delivered the education vote and stuff like that, but It was David who was working on his day off. He was helping that kid bottom right with a lead or an interview with a contact that he could get for him. And who knows, maybe he'll become president of the United States because of that. So everybody else is sucking down their cold one on Memorial Day while David Becker and Bill are working. And then as soon as he passes away, a month later, they get rid of him. And they say, oh, it wasn't in our, they make Christine say these words that she didn't feel, like, oh, it wasn't in our vision. It was wrong. And then they smeared him on top of that. He was taken out. And he's not the only one. And it's wrong. Here in the middle, you can see how we're supposed to have 2 lawyers on staff and a whole department. We don't have any. And then they eliminated saying he doesn't have to live in Fairfield anyway. So they don't fill our own legal department internally. And then they say he doesn't have to live here anyway. It's manipulated. Again, with the water heist. And on the right, we did a filibooker, we called it, which was a 26-hour filibuster inspired by Cory Booker. There on the left, you talk about dark money LLCs. You can, a lot of these real estate buildings, you don't even know who the management is. And we have a right to say no, that we need to know who the owners are, principals, do they have insurance, do they have clean financing? Otherwise, we can say no to them. There on the left, define the plans. See, those were our town plans that in 2000, they just put on a shelf and they wrote their own new ones. And we have every right. These are still valid documents for our town plan, not to use the vendors, which are not good at all, very little value, and use these authentic ones right here. Just revise them. It's easier than you think to do it. In the middle is the fixing of Connecticut. Bridgeport's Baker's Dozen. That's where the real mother lode, the source of the Nile, is in Bridgeport. You don't think so, but it is. Today, it's all the school contracts. It's also because it delivers Connecticut's largest city, 100% Democratic. In the middle, restoring the 8 counties of Connecticut. That all deals with the Council of Governments, which they call COG. I call it CLOG. And it's a totally synthetic artificial creation at our expense. They split Fairfield County in 2 to dilute it, but also just to control the Bridgeport COG, which is what they called it first until everybody made fun of them. And then they combined Hartford and Tolland counties and created the Capital Region COG. It's fake. On the left is affordable homes. You can buy a 3-bedroom home on Amazon now for $25,000. It answers all this housing, rental, apartment things. Like, no, we have plenty. Anybody wants a home, we can have a home for them. No credit check, no down payment, no mortgage, not a problem. So we can answer that whole, you have to have 2,000 apartments here. No, we don't. If you go over here to the right, where it's not our job, 10 questions for the SEEK. That's the State Elections Enforcement Commission. They are just totally toothless. They let open crime and criminality with Ganem, with his voting booth. They actually allowed, and when he ran for governor, actually, afterwards, they go to him for an audit, and he had claimed to taken in $850,000. They're like, all right, well, let's see the receipts and let's see the reports into people's bank. And they're like, oh no, we don't have anything. They didn't have anything. And it's like, what doesn't have any receipts and no trace? Cash. And they just left it open for 5 years, the investigation, until he runs for mayor again. And then he's Mayor Catfish. This woman, Colleen LePere out of Woodbridge, keeps appearing. They put her as treasurer of his entire financial campaign with his man Anthony Paoletto as the assistant. They close that governor $850,000 case, and then they get rid of her, and then Paoletto becomes the head of the Treasury. Really, really sketchy stuff that the state is aware of, and they let Bridgeport do it because they have to prop up Bridgeport like a Potemkin village, like a Hollywood set. So there's the woman, Colleen LePere, there on the left, Mayor Ganem and Paoletto. It's very, very bothersome. And this deals with the contributions and the money that came in. And I have all the decks, like the size of a New York City phone book, 3 of them. I went down to town hall at Bridgeport and I got them all, and I saw all the money and I saw everything coming in. Where I say here, state records reveal a curious mix. Yeah, well, that's for sure. That's all the receipts is what that is. And who's number 1? That woman, Colleen LePere. So she came to town hall with where Ganem was, And on this day, April 1, April Fool's Day, and you know, she's down there, and who is Ganem's assistant but a woman who was just convicted of performing like 50 sham marriages, mostly Indians. So this woman comes, hello, who had been convicted of catfishing in the past, with another woman in New York who she convinced her to buy her a home and medical insurance and money for her daughter. The judge said she was astonished that this woman, what she had done. So somehow, I don't know what's going on with the paperwork. I don't run anything unless I see the papers, but she has a relationship going way back with either Paoletto or Ganem, or they got married that day. I don't know, but very, very sketchy. And then the final over there on the left is what started it all. Whereas like Toby from The Office used to say, I would, start at the beginning, but I think I have to go back further. Where Ganem's residence, he bought it for under market value. Then he met with VGS, the appraisers, and got a tax cut on the property tax from $30,000 to $10,000. Plus, there's a hidden lot there. And then he flipped it for $1 million. Like really, really sketchy stuff off the books with VGS, which is involved with our assessment. So it's very bothersome. And we as a town, Fairfield, have a right to ask them to explain their actions there, because now there's a big loss of trust. So that was wrapping it up, and a lot, or just the summary on what we got going. It is just me here, but the revolution is brought to you by Google, and they have opened things up. Things are not going back in the public sector. They've always survived and thrived because they had all the cards and all the information and the money. It's always about the money, and not just follow the money, follow the big money. And the big money is still, it starts and ends. It starts with Bridgeport and control of Bridgeport for the political capital, and also for the projects, for the money. So thank you all. It's been great. I appreciate all your support. We continue to grow. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful 2026. And thank you. God bless.